What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for listening. I wanted to put this in the top of the show. Make sure you subscribe on Patreon, patreon.com/BrennanTassif. Check out the merch store at BrennanTComedy.com to get your ex-drinking buddy merch. Subscribe, rate, and review wherever you listen to podcasts. As always, we're coming to you live from Gotham Production Studios, and I hope you enjoy the episode.
Grab me a beer and grab him a coke. We bout to sit for an hour, bullshit and tell jokes. And please don't mix it up, cause he done sobered up. Brandon T Comedy on your social media feeds. And Brandon Sibs is your ex-drinking buddy. Brandon Sibs is your ex-drinking buddy. Brandon Sibs is your ex-drinking buddy. Brandon Sibs is your ex-drinking buddy.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. I'm your host, Brennan Tassif. If you are new to the show, quick rundown of the show. I used to be everyone's favorite drinking buddy. It was my favorite thing to do. Get drunk, do drugs, get in all sorts of trouble, and then hang out with people and reminisce about those crazy stories. I am sober now, but it is still one of my favorite things to do. Hang out with people and reminisce about the crazy old days. Most weeks I will be joined by a guest. This week is no exception. All the way from New York City, Danit Sibs.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for coming on.
I'm so excited because I am not a drunk anymore, thank God.
Yes.
So I like myself. I love myself a lot more now.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Tell everybody before we get too far into it, plug everything up front. Social media, anything you got going on. This will come out in about 2 weeks.
Okay, awesome. So I run, I'm not California sober because I still have a couple drinks, but I'm a cannabis advocate. I'm a cannabis advocate.
I do like how you caught yourself on that because I've had guests in here be like, yeah, I'm sober. And then they go into talking about like all the drugs that they do and stuff. And I go, that's not what that means.
I know. I just don't drink a lot anymore, thank God. But so I run a stoner comedy talk show called The Hot Box, where I get comedians high and then interview them late night talk show style.
That sounds like so much fun.
It's so much fun, and it's like a vibe. It's a vibe. Like, I hate that. And a hangout. So like that, I'm doing a brunch version on December 11th.
Okay.
I don't know if this is going to come out.
It'll come out before
Okay, cool. So everybody should come to that because like we're basically taking over a sick duplex rooftop apartment in Flatiron.
That'll be sick.
Yeah. And I have a chef and everything. So that you can find me on Instagram at Danit Sibs, DANITSIBS, or at thehotbox.nyc.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for coming on. We kind of met each other. Luckily, the podcast has gained a little bit of traction because you reached out to me and you said, hey, I've got some stories. I should come on. And I was like, well, hell yeah, let's do it. And then you had this car accident and then you had surgery and stuff. And then the scheduling kind of came off the rails. What happened? You're doing better though? Everything's going well?
Yeah, I'm doing better. The car accident was actually in March. So it's been like really rough. Fun fact. Doctors don't listen to women. Don't care. They
I don't think doctors listen to anybody.
That's true, too.
Because I've been to the hospital quite a few times, and they're like, yeah.
It's like, stop making me feel like I'm crazy. They made me feel like I was totally crazy. They couldn't figure out, like, what was really happening. It was basically like some doctors didn't think my discs were worth operating on or whatever.
Okay.
And you want to try conservative treatment anyway. Like, so I had 3 cortisone epidurals. I think they fucked up my hormones, and that's why I sweat even more than usual.
Oh, really?
Yeah, something happened. And then it didn't work, so I finally got cervical spine surgery at Hospital for Special Surgery. They're amazing.
Yeah.
So I got
Shouts
that.
out.
Yeah,
Hospital
shout out. HSS.
Yeah. Yeah, because that happened. I was in a car accident. I think I've told this story before, but after my first DUI, I was like biking to school.
Okay.
And this is in Florida. And someone just took a turn because they saw the green light and I was going through the crosswalk and they just smacked into me. But it was the same kind of thing. Like, so they ran all these MRIs and CAT scans and all this stuff. And they're like, well, you probably need back surgery. But then they always do that thing where they go, but there is like a small % chance that something could go wrong and you could never walk again.
Yeah.
And I was like, what are my other options? They go, well, it's a really small %. And I go, what are my other options? So they did epidurals. And
yeah.
they worked for a little while, but now it's just something I just deal with. It's just
what level does your pain get to?
so mine, depending on the day. So they said that working out, especially my core, would really help because it takes pressure off the spine. But like I've got like 2 herniated discs, 2 bulging discs between my spine and my neck.
Okay.
And they so my pain level. There's some days where I get out of bed and I like cannot walk. Like I have to like go slow. Once I warm up, I'm fine. But in the morning, it's probably like a 7 or an 8.
That's a high.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I finally had a night that I crawled on the floor.
Oh, you
and
did?
I couldn't even get myself up. Like it took me a full 5 minutes to get to my apartment front door, and I lifted myself up like with
And that's when
the
you were like,
doorknob.
this is done.
That's why I was like, there is something very wrong. And
Yeah.
if these fucking assholes can't figure it out, am I allowed to curse on
Yeah,
here?
fuck yeah, you are.
Yeah, okay. Then I'm going to go to someplace else. And, HSS is so elite. So you have to send in your records first, and then you have to be invited to see the doctor. So it took time. Like the night that I was crawling on the floor, I already had my appointment with my surgeon, but it was just like, a few like a month and a half away.
But you're doing better now.
Yeah.
Not
Cervical
fully
spine surgery.
operational, but
Yeah, no, this was the answer.
okay.
This was the answer.
Well, because I do follow you on social media,
Thank
so
you.
it is. I see your posts, your morning thoughts, and everything.
Oh, yeah. I love when someone's like, I don't want your morning thoughts. Get off my page.
Yeah, you don't have to be here.
I don't need you. Also, he's a creeper. Here's the thing about Instagram with women, as us that are trying to put everything out there. Like I'm trying to be I am sort of a cannabis influencer. Not sort of, I am. I get like paid per post. Like I do have that now and some partnerships, which is really exciting. And then I also want to showcase my comedy. It's like, but I want to feel safe. Like if you're going to say something weird, I'm restricting you right away.
Yeah, you have to. And so I didn't know this, and this is just my own ignorance. But when I go through people's stories, a lot of times I will like or like do the little like fire emoji or something. And then a comic the other day, because I was in a relationship for the last 4 years. We recently broke up, but like I was in a relationship for so long, I just didn't think about it. And then a comic the other day made a joke where he's like, when you're on Instagram and you react to their stories, when you're like flirting with people, and I go, wait. I was like, that's not flirting. I was like, that's just me like, gassing them up. Like, yeah, let's go. And he goes, no, that's flirting.
I'm on your
I
side.
panicked. I was like, I'm like 34. Like, I don't know the rules to this.
I'm 39. I don't know any rules. Let me tell you, the rules are just nothing goes anymore.
Yeah.
Everybody does whatever they want.
It's the fucking Wild West out there.
It's the Wild West. And I just, like, there are people I just want to talk to. Like, I reach out to you. Like, basically, when I knew I was having surgery, I was like, okay, it's podcast time.
Yeah.
Like, I want to try to get on podcast. Because like I don't know how the stage is going to be. Like I've done one show.
I saw that, and you said it was kind of a lot.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
But the show is great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was really
But I
fun.
remember seeing, again, your morning thoughts the next day where you're like, what the fuck?
It's brutal out there. Like it's people. My own sister, she's never going to listen to this, so I could say whatever I want. She doesn't understand the gravity of my surgery.
Yeah.
Like she doesn't, but she didn't understand in the beginning. Like we went to see Amy Schumer, and I couldn't walk after because we were sitting down for so long. And she was like, so nasty. I was walking so slow behind
Stop
her.
being dramatic.
Yeah, she was like, oh, I don't understand why you're like this. All you did was sit. I was like, well, then you don't understand the spine.
Yeah.
Because
I get it all the time with being sober.
Okay.
Like, because I went to rehab in 2013 and then I'd kind of been in and out of like being sober. And then when I almost died the last time, I was like, all right, they've heard the story a million times.
I haven't though.
On my 30th birthday, long story short, I got really in my head and really in my feelings. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to drink because that's the only way I know how to quiet all this noise. And 2 days later, I ended up, waking up in a hospital room. And the doctor was like, you should be dead. I don't even know how you're awake. And I was like, oh, boy.
What? Did you pass out somewhere?
So I was at home and I was drinking. I had a friend in town that I hadn't seen in a while. He's my gay best friend from Daytona. He was like, I'm coming to see you on your birthday. I'll be in Jacksonville. And I texted him my address. My birthday was on a Tuesday. I drank. When I got home from work, I had no intention of drinking. And then I was thinking about, I'm a twin. And I was like, I can't believe it. My twin sister, who used to get in all the trouble when we were kids, now is married with a full life and kids and a career. And I'm still waiting tables. I wasn't doing comedy at the time. I had taken like a 3-year break. I was like, I stopped doing comedy, which is what I loved. Yeah. I'm barely surviving. I was like, I've thrown away my entire life because I was pre-law and a Division I football player.
I'm a lawyer.
Yeah. So like I had all this stuff going for me, and then everything just spiraled out of control. And I was like, I've failed. So then I just started drinking to like quiet all the noise. So fast forward, Wednesday, I remember waking up Wednesday night, and this is the thing I always say is I looked in the mirror and I thought, you're going to die here alone, and that's exactly what you deserve. And then I pass out. Well, apparently, I'm the kind of person who always locks his front door. Okay. Always. And apparently, when I had taken an Uber Wednesday morning to go back to the liquor store because I'd already gone through a whole handle of vodka.
Do you remember that?
I remember taking the Uber to the liquor store because it was at like 8 a.m.
Okay.
And then I got home, and then it's very fuzzy after that. But apparently, I never locked my front door.
Thank God.
Which I normally always do. So Marquise was in town, and he's very much like, if I say I'm going to come see you, I'm going to come see you. Not like a buddy where you're like, I guess they're busy. And then they just like,
okay.
Marquise was like, no, I fucking said I was going to come see you, and I miss you, and I'm going to come see you. So he was texting me and I wasn't answering. He was banging on my door and I wasn't answering. So he just opened the door and found me on the floor.
Oh, shit.
And rushed me to the hospital.
That's the universe looking out for you.
Yeah. So, but it's so interesting now what we were talking about earlier, because now when I hang out with people, like sometimes in my family, sometimes just like my family, they kind of saw the worst of it, so they don't do it so much anymore. Yeah. But they'll be like friends, and they'll be like, you can have like one drink, and I'm like, you don't understand where this goes. Like with your sister, you're like, are you out of your mind? Yeah. Like my back is destroyed. Like what is wrong with you?
No, people really don't understand if they're not in it. Also, fun fact: my sister has boy-girl twins. They're 15. They're turning 16 in February.
Oh, really?
They're terrible to me. Terrible.
Really?
Terrible. They have. They're spoiled.
Oh, see, I was definitely looking back on when I was a kid. I was a shitty kid.
Were you?
Yeah. There was just certain things where I didn't understand the way the world worked. Yeah. So like if my sister would get something and I won it, I'd be like, what the fuck is going on? And they're like, well, it's your sister. Like and I go, no. We're all in this together. Like what is happening? Yeah. And but I also used to be the kid, obviously, who would be like, nobody likes me. Everybody hates me. And I'd like stomp my feet and cry. I've always been an attention seeker, but now
I'm an attention seeker.
I've grown out of that. Grown out of those methods, and now I just get on stage.
No, that's a reason to quit alcohol. I have like my favorite thing is to smoke or eat an edible and then like have like a couple like hard seltzers, like basic bitch drink. But I definitely think alcohol is a slippery slope. Like I was disgusting and like blacked out drunk. Like I would like in college I woke up in my own vomit. I have woken up and not known the guy that was next to me.
So what I want to get to that. That's
terrible.
How did you first I wanted to talk about how you got into like doing stand-up and doing comedy and the weed influencing. So you're a lawyer, so you went. How did all that happen? Did you grow up in New York or
Yeah.
Okay.
So I grew up in New York. Dysfunctional childhood, which made, humor my defense mechanism, right?
Great for comedy.
Great for comedy. Daddy didn't love me. No, he did. I mean, he fucking didn't. He didn't take care of us. My parents got divorced. And so I was really raised by a single mother. And like, I think like the baby also, like the youngest in the family also tends to be the comedian. So I don't know. I've just always like been into comedy. Like in college, I had a poster of Larry David. And
did you really? Okay, so that's what I was going to ask. So you've always been into it.
I've been always into it. Yeah.
When did you realize like, oh, I want to try this? Because in doing this show for as long as I have, there's one thing I've noticed is a lot of people, myself included, you don't realize that comedy is an actual thing you can do. Yeah. Until later in life. And there's some people I've had on, they're like, no, I've wanted to do comedy since I was like 10. And I was like, oh, well, I've loved comedy since I was like 12. But I didn't know stand-up was an actual thing until I was like 16, 17.
I just didn't know it was like an option for me, I guess, because like I was so set on like college wasn't an option. The way that we grew up, it was like you're going to college, like Jewish girl from Long Island, like you're going to college.
Yeah. Where did you go?
Binghamton,
Okay.
upstate New York.
I know Binghamton.
Oh,
I only know it
okay.
because Tony Kornheiser from a ESPN show went there, and he talks about it all the time.
The Bearcats.
Bearcats, Binghamton Bearcats.
They're not that great. I don't know. But they went D1 the year that I started.
There you
That's
go.
exciting.
You're a springboard.
Well, then after I left, because they went D1, they were like recruiting all these athletes from everywhere. They had this really tall Serbian kid that was on the basketball team and put this kid in a coma. Like he beat the shit out of this kid and then fled back to Serbia and
Did he really?
never get prosecuted. Yeah. Binghamton was like, for it being like the best New York State school, like we call it like the public Ivy League, but like it's raw and nasty.
That's how the University of Florida is. Because I'm from Florida, and the University of Florida is the most respected public school.
Yeah,
in
Gainesville.
Florida.
I applied there. I got in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you go there, you're like, this is the most respected public school in the state of Florida.
Well, what's his face? Aaron Hernandez went there.
My
and the
brother went
other
there,
guy.
Aaron Hernandez went there.
Who's the other? Tim Tebow,
Yeah.
the Virgin. Is that true? I don't know. Whatever.
I played against Tim Tebow in college.
Oh, so you went to Gainesville also?
No. I played against him. I went to
Okay.
Florida Atlantic University in South Florida. But so you get to college, and when do you like start doing open mics? Like when do you start doing comedy?
Not till a long time. I worked. I went to straight through from college to law school.
Where'd you go to law school?
St. John's in Queens. I'm such a New Yorker.
St. John's.
St. John's, Queens, Jamaica,
Minutemen,
Queens. Oh no, there's Red Storm.
I knew it was
Storm,
Red.
something. I should have probably gone to their
They
basketball
have a very
games.
good basketball team.
I know I should have gone, but
Shouts out to St. John's.
St. John's, thanks for my law school education.
So you go there, and then because I'm always curious to know when people start. Because I've had people on, and they're like, "Yeah, I liked comedy, so I just started doing open mics." And I go, "Well, you need to get better at podcasting because that's not a story." And then it's also interesting too because because I'm only 18 months into New York.
Okay.
Like I've been doing comedy. I started comedy in 2009, and now I've only been in New York for 18 months. So it is weird because I'll have people on the show, and they're, I consider them my friends, and like I'm excited to have them on. And then I'll bring it up to like other comics just randomly, like when we're hanging, and they're like, "Oh, you had so and so," and I'm like, "I don't know the beefs. I don't know who hates who. Like I don't know."
It doesn't matter. Like, if
I
you're
got
a hard
people-
worker,
yeah.
that's all that matters.
Well, and that's the thing.
Talented.
I always book people based on. There's three things that I always book people because people are like, I've had people on who have like no following, but I'm like, I don't care. Like, if I see that you're out like doing the work, like, you know what I mean? Like going to the open mics and you're actually trying, like you're not just getting up there and yelling.
Yeah.
Like, I always want to, or if you have something going on, like Hotbox or anything like that, and you want to promote it, like anybody really who's doing work, I'm like, well, yeah, fucking come on and let's do it.
Yeah.
But then, like sometimes I'll be, or like the restaurant I work in is a really swanky steakhouse, so we'll have like bigger name people come in. So sometimes I'll drop names to like, it's a defense mechanism, but it's like, I do this too. Like I just had so and so on my podcast,
Right.
and I've done that before, and they've been like, you had them on, and in my head I was like, oh, this is a bigger name, like I'll drop it. And just be like, oh, let me pick that up. And then they're like, oh, we don't like so-and-so. And I'm like, God damn it.
I don't really have beef in comedy.
No.
I cursed out this lady because she deserved it. She's the nastiest comic of them all, and she only does bringer stuff, and she's really nasty. Victoria Arnstein, have you heard of her yet? So you're like, don't even need to worry about her. She heckled me at a show that we were both on. Don't fucking heckle
Don't
me.
heckle
Like, have respect for our craft. I was silent during your show, your set, and like, I don't like you. So I ended up calling her a cunt and just like screamed at her.
That was so much. So yeah,
I had to.
Well, sometimes things must be done.
She finally got me to lose my train of thought. Like, she was heckling. It wasn't that bad. I kept on going, kept on doing my set. I also, like, love crowd work. I'm a crowd work comic. I know some people have mixed feelings about it.
I'm bad at it.
I love it, I want to do stuff.
I'm just bad at it. Like, it's not, I don't have anything against it. I'm just not, because of, like, being incarcerated so many times and, like, fights and everything. I'm very much, like, when I get on stage, it's like, okay, I'm going to do my jokes. Like, I'm going to tell my stories now. And if some people interact like I'm good, But if people like go like, even if it's like they heckle like 2 or 3 times, I'm like, hey, I'm talking about going to jail. Like I'll come off the stage and beat the fucking piss out of you. And then the whole room is like, you can't do that. And I'm like, God damn it. I'm so bad at it because I immediately go to anger and then I lose the audience. And I'm like, oh yeah.
No, I hear what you're saying. And I used to get nervous where I would just like memorize my set and never deviate. And I don't like that.
No,
and so to go back a little bit, I started doing improv.
Okay.
That's how I started comedy. That's why like I wanted to get good at crowd work because I was so nervous that I wasn't doing improv anymore that I would like memorize my sets like a psycho, but then I wasn't able to like enjoy the interacting with the audience, which is actually what the Hot Box is all about. Like it's a comedy talk show. We have an interactive audience. Also, what do you know? Stoners aren't nasty hecklers. Only drunk people are.
It's the drunks. The drunks are so mean.
The drunks are nasty and mean.
It is interesting you say that because in the South, when I would like go tour around, like, you know, go do different bringer show or not bringer shows, like triple run shows, like one-nighters and stuff. It was interesting because in that environment, it was very much like the crowd interaction was almost secondary. It was a lot like there are comics who are very good at it, so that's what they would go to.
Right.
But it was a lot of like, all right, I'm going to go up and do my set. And like you'd interact with the crowd, but it was more like set based, and then the crowd stuff was secondary. And then when I moved to New York, I was like, oh, it's flipped. Like you have to be like, the crowd has to be a part of like what you're does that make sense?
Yeah, they have to love you.
Yeah, so like when I remember, and I've told this story before, so I apologize, listeners, but my first show at the Stand, I was so excited because I was like, I moved to New York, like I'm finally doing it. I'm doing a show at the Stand. And I went up there and like you're talking about, I just did my set. Mm-hmm. Like I didn't interact or anything, and it went okay.
Right.
Like I didn't bomb, but I didn't crush. It was just okay. And then like a week later, I had a show at the Cellar, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to fucking worry about anything. Like, I'm just going to get up there. Like, I didn't write a set list down or anything. I was like, I'm just going to get up there and go. I've been doing this long enough to where I'm just going to trust myself.
Yeah.
And it went so well. Because I immediately started just talking to the audience, and they were like, yeah, this is why we come to the Cellar. And I was like, oh, this is totally different than what I'm used to. I'm used to like in the South where it's like the stage is pretty far away. The people are pretty spread out. And it's like, we're just going to do the set.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. Like I need an audience. Like I connect with people. That's how I am like as a human, like and my personality and everything. But I get pushback from people. Like I've had people that I'm friends with be like, I'm not booking you because it's too much crowd work. I'm like, okay. Like
really?
I just have to like be me. I also like I used to, but it was from 2019 before COVID. I don't have like this ultimate amazing tape anymore because I do so much crowd work. I'd say half my set can be crowd work sometimes. Yeah. So like I have these great nights, like the one show I did since surgery, I fucking killed. Mm-hmm. And I have the whole thing recorded and I'd love to send the tape out. The question is whether someone is going to be receptive because it's a lot of crowd work.
That's you see that on a lot of the festival submissions. It's like no crowd work, no local references, no that like just do your set. And that's like, God.
But then I'm not, I really believe that you have to forge your own path.
Absolutely. Well, that's why I'm doing like the one-man show that I'm doing. It's because everyone was like, your material is like a little dark for clubs. Like it's not like silly. Because I talk about like, when I used to hurt myself and the alcoholism and all that. And I try to make jokes about it because I think it's funny. And I know if AA has taught me anything, I'm not unique. There's a lot of people like me.
Okay.
And I quote it all the time. But Kyle Kinane always says, I don't need everybody. I just need enough to fill a room.
Right.
So that's been my whole mentality for my whole career. So then I was talking to some comics one time at the Stand. We were just doing a hang and we're talking. And one of them turned to me and goes, genuinely, have you ever thought about doing a one-man show? Because your material is a little too dark for the like club silliness. Yeah. So then I thought about it and I decided to do it. Now over the course of the last 8 months, I've put it together and we're premiering it January 30th.
Oh my God.
And we're billing it as a one-person show. So then that way there's no confusion. This is not a stand-up hour. Like this is going to be, because all these stories that I have, I'll tell comics off stage because those are my only friends are comics. Yeah. And they go, oh my God, dude, that's crazy.
Right.
And then I go to try to do it on stage and people are like, this is sad. And I'm like, what is happening?
Do you know Chris Gethard?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He had a fantastic one-man show called Career Suicide and it was about his mental health and suicide attempts. It was fantastic, unbelievable. He was up there by himself for over 80 minutes. It was so amazing.
That's awesome.
So I saw it live. I'm
Okay.
very lucky. Like I went to see it, and then Judd Apatow and HBO produced it for that.
Well, see, and that's the other thing too is I hired, and being in New York, it's so awesome because it's just like, oh, I need a video crew. And in
Yeah.
Florida, it's like you have to like search these people out. In
Yeah.
New York, you literally put one ad on Upwork,
Uh-huh.
and like I had like 10 responses within an hour where people are like, I'll shoot it, I'll shoot it, I'll shoot it,
Yeah.
I'll shoot it. So it's like, oh, I'll just shoot it. And then I've been fortunate enough to have met so many people doing comedy just in the year and a half I've been in New York where it's
Yeah.
like, oh, then I can go on their podcast and promote it. And then
Oh yeah,
like
totally.
who knows what can happen.
Where are you doing it on January 30th?
I'm doing it at the Producers Club.
Oh, okay. I want to find out. I want all the details. I will come and support.
I'll give you all the information. But let's get back to you.
Okay.
This is not about me. Let's talk about you.
Okay.
So you go into improv, then you go into stand up, and you're more, like you said, you're more crowd work based. Where are you as far as law school and everything when you're doing that?
Okay, so it wasn't until I moved to DC at 30 years old that I started doing improv comedy.
Okay, so you're out of law school. You're
Out of
actually-
everything.
Okay.
But over the course of like my 20s, let's say, between college, law school, and then like the rest of my 20s, I am constantly being told by people that I'm like, should do this or I should do
Yeah.
that. Like go to an improv class, do this. And then I finally did it in DC because I'm actually not friends with anybody that I was in improv with anymore. I talked to this one guy, James. Thanks for your Paramount Plus password. He's so kind.
Shouts
to me.
out James.
James. But I was like, DC's so square.
Yeah.
Like that's the only way to describe it. I
Did
was
you
like,
go there for work?
Yeah, I went there for a
What-
job. I was an attorney for a nonprofit.
Okay.
And it was just like so not my town. And I thought, okay, now like let me do improv here because it's a smaller community.
Mhm.
And like I drank the Kool-Aid and like that was it. Like I started improv in like September 2013 and like that was that. And then I had moved back to New York and I was doing a lot of improv at UCB, but like this is the truth. I love UCB. It gave me like a tremendous Upright Citizens Brigade.
Yeah.
It gave me a tremendous education in comedy. It gave me opportunities. It gave me friendships, whatever. But it is this is before COVID because now everything's different. But before COVID, it was like a factory. Like I was never getting on a house team. I was never going to shine.
Yeah.
Like also I realized I'm not a character actor. Like every time I would do like an exaggerated version of myself, it would get more laughs than any time I tried to do like an accent. I'm not an accent person.
Yeah.
I'm not Kate McKinnon who like
That's the big thing.
Yeah.
Is like when I tell people that I do stand up and I moved to New York, they're like, "Are you going to try and get on SNL?" And I go, "No, I do stand up. I don't. I'm not a
Exactly.
sketch comic. I'm a stand up comic."
Yeah. And like improv, like you look at Tina Fey and Amy Poehler, like all of those people like are character actors.
Yeah, and I'm not knocking it. They're
amazing.
fantastic at it. That's just not what I do. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm not good at it. So then I finally had someone say to me, I'm actually not friends with this person anymore. Moral of the story, I'm not friends with a lot of people anymore. But he was like, if you don't do stand up, you're wasting a talent.
Oh wow.
So, and I had gotten out of a horrible relationship, like the worst ever. I mean, he actually had lived with me. So it was like super toxic. I was kicking him out of my apartment and I was like, I have nothing to lose. Like, what's the big deal?
Yeah.
So I was like, fuck it. And I signed up for Comedy Cellar, the Rick Crom. I always say his last name, Rick Crom. He does a class there.
Oh,
Because I
okay.
was like, I need to learn how to write. Because
Yeah.
like, improv, you obviously are improvising everything. So that was like summer 2018. So it's been about like 4 years, a little bit
wow.
more. So
Yeah.
I've been doing exclusively stand up. And then the Hot Box, I started a year ago.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you mentioned it. Obviously, this is before improv and stand up and everything like that. When you got to college, were you already a big party person, or
Yeah.
when did you start smoking weed? Because that's your big thing.
I had my first drink in 9th grade,
Okay.
a beer at the East Meadow Bowling Alley.
Shout out East Meadow Bowling Alley.
East Meadow, that's where I grew up. And I lived like right next door to the bowling alley. So we would go walk over from my house. Such a suburban story. And meet with these guys that were like 2 to 3 years older than us. And then
course.
friends with also adults that were like they were all like volunteer firefighters from the next town over. It is creepy that they hung out with
Ninth
me.
graders?
Yeah, that's so disgusting. Nothing ever happened though.
No,
Just that I tried alcohol and stuff. When I was 16, I threw a party at my house and wanted to try weed for the first time and thought it was better to leave everybody at my house and go for a ride with my guy friends.
So you...
I left my own party with teenagers there by themselves because I was more worried about the weed.
So you didn't throw a party hoping someone would bring weed. You threw a party and then someone at the party was like, "Hey, do you want to go do weed?" And you were like, "Hell yeah."
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, not here. Let's drive. Let me leave all these teenagers alone in my mom's house and let's drive someplace. That's the better, safer move. I'm an idiot.
So what happened? You tried it and...
So I tried it. It was fine. But then we came home and the cops were there.
Just hanging out?
Everybody was like, where the fuck have you been? And I was like, what are you talking about? I just went out to get something. And they were like, you left your own fucking party. And the cops were called and like they were like, whose house is this? And nobody could answer.
Oh my God.
So my mom flew home from her vacation early. She was like very angry. Yeah, because all the neighbors called. It was terrible. I was I was punished, but I also was like crying because like my mom was so angry. Like I was that kind of kid.
Yeah.
Like I didn't want her to be disappointed.
You didn't want to disappoint.
Exactly.
Yeah. So then when you got to college, were you more of a weed person or a drinking person?
I was definitely more of a drinking person, but I smoked a lot, and that's like how people were friends. Like it's still kind of like how it is now. Yeah.
You go to the smoker's table outside?
Yeah. And like, but I was bad in college. Like
Let's get into it.
I was disgusting. I didn't love myself enough.
Me too.
Blackout drunk, puking, having sex with a man that like there's one visiting. I was in a sorority. There was like a fraternity visiting from a school that I don't even remember which school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that guy, couldn't point him out to you. He slept in my bed that night with me and like.
But how did it? So when you get to college, are you like, I want to join a sorority, I want to meet new friends, or like take me through the whole thing?
Okay.
Like, how did it?
So I got to college and the girls that I became. So, 60 people or something from my high school went to Binghamton.
Okay.
So I was like very much like, I need to forge my own path. Like I don't.
So this was like the local school for where you grew up.
A lot of people went to Binghamton.
I mean, 60's a lot.
60 and Monica. I decided I was not going to be best friends with this girl, Monica anymore. Monica. She ended up going to law school with me too.
Oh, really?
She was blowing kisses at me at our law school graduation party. I was like,
ugh.
She's like, can we be friends again? I'm like, no. I'm not interested. But I guess so. Like I became friends closer with this other girl from my high school, and then these group of girls. I don't know. Something happened first semester freshman year, and Betsy would take whole fucking bottles of Advil, and then we have to call the Binghamton.
Are you in the sorority at this point?
No, it's first semester freshman year.
Okay.
Betsy, and we'd have to call. It's called Harper's Ferry, our campus ambulance.
Is it really?
Because Harper was a school, the liberal arts school that everybody was in, and Harper's Ferry. I have no idea.
Do you know what Harper's Ferry is a reference to?
No, what is it? I don't know anything. I feel like what is it?
You're a lawyer. You have to know this.
What is Harper's Ferry? Should I know what that is? I don't know.
A whole thing with slavery, abolitionists, rebellion.
That it saved slaves. I hope it was
John Brown's raid on Harper's Ferry was all his own, said Frederick Douglass.
Shit. I don't know enough about history.
That was what I did.
Okay. I mean, history was my minor, actually.
I was going to say, it has to be.
But I don't know that. I don't know. I do know some history. But
yeah. That's why when you said it, I was like, she's baiting me. She wants me to like try to mansplain it to her. So
oh, no.
Like, you piece of shit.
No, I really am not sure. Harper. I thought it was from Harper School.
No, Harper's Ferry originally, John Brown. It was a raid that John Brown, the white abolitionist, did, where he would take broadswords and cut people in half, cut slave owners in half and stuff.
Well, that's cool.
So
it was named
Harper's
after
Ferry.
something good. Well, our Harper's Ferry just tried to get Advil out of Betsy's stomach.
They don't even have to pump your stomach for that, do they?
I don't know. We kept on going to the hospital with her. I was like, this bitch is crazy.
So then you decided to join the sorority.
Yes, because I was like, I got to get away from these girls.
I'm tracking. Because even in my head now, I'm like, you've got to get
away from them. So, I pledged Alpha Phi. I was hazed.
What was that like? Tell us. You didn't
my
even
God.
put that down. What was that like?
Oh, I mean, I was fucking hazed. We were the worst white girl sorority on campus. And we would take that as our, like, you think you're bad? We're fucking locked in basements. Like,
They would lock you in basements?
oh my God, all the time. And sleep deprived, like all that circle the fat shit, that was what the other
That's what the lesser
sorority-
ones did.
Exactly. We actually were hazed.
You're goons.
We were like degenerates, like fucking, it's a different kind of, we were like the chill,
different
cool
world back
girls. There was like the girls 2 years older than us. I found out when we were pledging that they were cokeheads. And I was like, oh, fuck, I joined the cokehead sorority. I didn't know that. I did have an experience, like a time with cocaine.
When was that?
Senior year of college.
Of college? What happened?
I really wanted to
Adderall
try
wasn't
it.
doing it for you anymore?
Oh my God, Adderall is probably the only thing besides alcohol that I've had a problem, maybe. Maybe I do have more of a...
Oh, it happens a lot on this show.
Yeah, like...
It's
but
interesting because when you course it out over the course of your entire life, you're like, oh, that was, that happened there and that happened there. But then when we condense it down into a 1 hour show and I'm like, tell me all the things, then you're like, oh, maybe there is a lot more of this stuff than I thought.
I'm like, I was almost having an intervention about Adderall, but I actually used it to study.
Yeah.
It wasn't recreational.
There's a very funny comic, friend of the show. Shout out Aaron Eads, a St. Augustine comic. But he has this whole bit where he talks about, he goes, yeah, my friend has a serious drug problem. He's addicted and we have to have an intervention for him. The only problem is like his apartment has never been cleaner. He's killing it at work. He's addicted to Adderall and everybody laughed. But I'm like, that's exactly the feeling that I got when I take it.
Yeah.
Because I didn't take it too often in college, but it was a thing. And
Oh, yeah.
I would take my buddy had it and I'd take some if I had to like get a paper done, those fucking 15-page papers.
I would stay
and then you wait until the last minute to do it.
in
and
the
then
computer pods.
Yep, yeah.
Yeah.
For like 12 hours straight.
Yeah, smoking cigarettes outside.
And I remember turning to some of my other like the other people in the library and stuff in the computer area, and I remember turning to them being like, "Have you guys ever tried Adderall? This stuff is amazing. This stuff is amazing."
That's so spot on. I would sometimes, because I was literally with my nose like this in a book, I had friends be like, yo, you have any more? They would just see me like that in the library.
So how did you even get into Adderall? Were you prescribed it or was it something you kind of fell into?
It was something that I found out and learned how to do like all-nighters, to the point that when I graduated college, I said I will never do it in law school. I'm going to learn how to not procrastinate and I never did it again.
Okay. That's
I did it
good.
only for recreational purposes. One time after that.
But how did the cocaine come about then?
I just really wanted to try it. I felt like college was the time to try everything.
Absolutely, yeah.
So I was like, I want to try it before I graduate. So then I was like, oh, this is cool. But I had a really bad come down the last time I ever did it. And I had this like dork in my bed. I don't even remember. His name was John or Joe or something. We hooked up a bunch,
Dork.
but he was like...
His name was Dork.
Dork. And we had like hooked up a bunch, but like he was younger and I just like woke him up at 5 a.m. and I was like, I'm driving you back to campus.
Oh, you were living off campus at the time?
Yeah,
at the
I was a
sorority
senior.
house,
Yeah. So like, I'm driving you back to campus because I hadn't slept. He had no idea what was happening. It's like, I'm just like, I'm driving you home. And then I tried to go back to sleep. Like, I don't like that feeling. And like part of why I hate being hungover because I would get violently ill. Like I now could throw up like the whole next day. That didn't happen in college. But like, I hate the idea of even with a hangover, like when you're feeling sick and you just want to fall back asleep, but you can't. Like, that's why I like cannabis, because cannabis usually helps me sleep.
Yeah.
And like you don't
I know a lot of
feel
people
bad.
who take it to sleep and then they feel fine in the morning.
Oh, I feel fine. Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of those things when I remember being in even college, post-college, whatever, but like, because my anxiety runs so hot, I'd be like, I have to drink. Because I was always a drinker. Weed always made me paranoid. And I know now, being older and with all the information, that it just depends on what you smoke.
Yeah.
When I was in college, we didn't know that. It was,
they didn't
my
have
roommate
it.
just went and got weed, and then I would try it, and I was like, I don't like this. But yeah, so my anxiety would always run super hot. So I used to drink to sleep because couldn't sleep without drinking.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
every
interesting.
day, your day starts 3 hours after you get up because it's this whole thing where it's like, all right, got to like get up, get going, take some Advil, try and drink some
Yeah.
water, get this hangover out of here, and then your day
Oh,
starts.
I hate the feeling sick. You need indica probably
I
because
get
so
that a
you're
lot.
not in your head.
Yeah.
Like I like sativa during the day. So I push through that in my head anxiety. Sometimes I like it and then I just push through. But
Well, sometimes it's good too.
it's
Anxiety can be
good.
a very great motivator.
well, and I'm super open about my anxiety.
me too.
Before the car accident, I was on like a low level Celexa for a little while just for anxiety. I've never actually experienced depression until after my car accident was the first time I truly can understand, like not like I'm sad for a while or in a funk because of something that happened. Like I was for real in depression because I felt completely like hopeless and helpless because nobody was listening to me.
Just disconnected.
Yeah, so I'm on 2 very strong antidepressants now, and they're great.
There you go.
So I mean, they work, and I have a really good psychiatrist. This is like the kind of doctor that I have. Is that when I maxed out my Zoloft, and I'm explaining to her how well I think I'm doing, she's like, I don't think so. You're still crying all the time. We need to bump this up. And she gave me my second one. And I told her after, I was like, I need you to know that like I needed that. And that's the kind of doctor that I want to go to.
Yeah.
Because it's not therapy. I have therapy myself. It's separate. Like it's just a psychiatrist, but you want someone that is looking at who's in front of you, not just like bullshitting and hearing it.
Emma Woolman and I just talked about this last week because I went to go see a psychoneurologist.
Okay.
And after the first session, like I went back the next month and he just prescribed me Adderall, Klonopin, and Xanax. Didn't get to know me anymore. Just
No.
like, here's the prescription. See you later. And it almost killed me. 'Cause-
I also don't. Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think that you have 3 of those 3 together.
Yeah, he gave me Adderall for my ADHD and like to help me focus. He gave me Klonopin, time release, so to handle my anxiety, and then he gave me Xanax for anxiety attacks.
As needed, yeah. See, weed would be better in that.
And I was just like, as needed, it's always needed.
No, Xanax is like, No, that's strong. I mean, I've taken Xanax, obviously,
Oh, yeah.
whatever. Like, but also, like, I had 2 panic attacks in the emergency room after the car accident because it was rollover. We were hanging upside down. So it was like really crazy. Yeah. So I had 2 panic attacks. And of course, then they just like shoved me off with Valium and didn't care about the rest of my body because they were like, she's fine. She just can't handle it. So it's like the mental health is.
It's a huge aspect when it comes to a lot
part
of
of
that
it,
stuff.
but it doesn't negate the physical parts.
Absolutely.
Like that's what I also, but yeah.
So you do the cocaine, you take Dork home,
Oh, yeah.
and then you just decided you're not going to do cocaine anymore after that?
That not sleeping, that come down
Yeah.
really was rough. And I had like 2 or 3 months that I was doing it like every night out,
Yeah.
like every weekend. And I was
So
like,
you were
I
kinda-
think I'm okay.
Yeah.
I just
think I'm done.
I didn't think it was like that amazing. Like what's weird.
It's not. It's really
It's
not.
But what's weird is like I've never done it since college. And I still like as I talk about it still right now, I can still like taste it.
Yeah.
Like my nose will
It's
feel
like
it
a
forever.
phantom thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, that tastes pretty good. But no. I haven't done it since college.
So then you finish college. When you get to law school, you stop the Adderall. You
Yeah.
don't do the coke anymore. Are you doing what you said? Are you like partying still? Or
No,
like,
I
what's-
mean, well, I'm still drinking.
Okay.
Like, and that, like, drinking is always acceptable. Like, that's the fucked up part.
Yeah.
Is that, like, especially in law school and my first job out of law school, I was at the district attorney's office in the
Everyone always
Bronx.
goes there. And I only know that because I want to tell you this real quick because I think
Yeah.
you can appreciate it. So I get arrested. I finished college in 2012.
Okay.
A lot of I was in pre-law society, the whole thing, yada, yada, yada. So then about 3 years later, no, I guess, yeah. So a lot of my friends graduated before me because
Okay.
I was an alcoholic by then. So it took me a couple extra years. So anyway, long story short, in 2014, after I finished, or 13, when I finished rehab, I'm living in a halfway house. We get pulled over for something. They run my name. I've got a warrant out for my arrest.
Okay.
So I get shipped back down to South Florida. It
Okay.
was 3 years after college.
Yeah.
What else takes 3 years? Law school.
Law school, yeah.
So then I show up to go in front of the judge, and guess who's all working for the state prosecutors?
Oh,
everyone I was in pre-law society with. Kids that I was like, how did you pass the bar? You dumb
so many
fuck.
dummies. So many dummies.
So I walk out, orange jumpsuit, shackled up, and I look across the courtroom, and 3 out of the 5 state prosecutors are all kids I went to college
That's crazy.
with.
That's crazy.
And I was like, hey, guys.
You didn't miss anything. Law school is a racket. You don't make the money. Only a handful of attorneys make the money that's worth paying those loans.
Well, so what happened? So you get out and you go start to work for the DA, and then...
Yeah, and then I was like, I wasn't really smoking because like cannabis was still
frowned upon,
still legal in New York and whatever. So instead I continued to binge drink and be a total fucking whore half the time. I actually don't have that many one-night stands, but they are so disgusting to me. And that's my own thing against myself. My whole thing is like, first of all, I'm not here to judge anybody else.
Absolutely,
I'm saying it about myself. But my whole thing is like, it wasn't because I was like feeling good about myself and wanted to have casual sex and could handle it. It was because I was blacked out drunk, like needed male attention, and like didn't even remember it most of the time.
It's the self-worth thing. Because I've done that before too. People make fun of me a lot because I'm very effeminate, I guess you'd say.
Okay.
For being like a former D1. I was raised by women mostly.
Oh,
like my
there
sisters
you
and
go.
stuff.
That's good.
So like I'll cry at commercials and stuff.
You need to cry.
Yeah.
Yes.
But that was the thing was I remember having one-night stands in college and even a little bit after college where I didn't like the person, but I knew they had a crush on me, and I just wanted to feel wanted.
Yeah.
So you just have sex with them, and then I felt like such shit after, because like I never understood guys who'd be like, "Fuck yeah, man, yeah." I'd be like, I feel dirty and gross.
Yeah,
I used the person. I knew they liked me. I didn't like them, but I wanted the attention, so I just used them, and I was like, I feel like shit.
I just wanted to feel like wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it didn't even matter if I met them that night or I met them before.
You knew them from before, yeah.
Like, I just wanted to feel wanted, and it was never satisfying for me. Like, casual sex doesn't work with me, so like I just posted this bit that I did at the show the other day. Like, I turned 30 and decided I wasn't going to be a slut anymore. I was like, okay, I'm going to be serious. But it was like, it was like, how could I, like, and I would cry. This is like so much of the stuff that I worked through with my father and therapy, like, and everything. It's like, I was so desperate to have like a man take care of me. And I was like desperate to be in a relationship, but I was like a drunken mess. Like, who would want that to be committed
You're telling my story.
But I'll tell you, like, I had one casual moment right before my surgery. I hadn't had sex since before my car accident. So I went like about 8 months. I was dating someone, a comedian. That's all I'll say on this thing.
Yeah.
It's hard, comedians dating comedians. It depends on, it depends.
Oh, we know. We've talked about it a lot on this show, and you know who you are. Not me. My ex is not a comedian.
Okay.
I've had people on who've dated comics.
Oh, yeah.
It's always the same reaction. They go, a comic.
Well, it's just like, we're actually still really good friends, like, whatever. It's just like, you know, it's different. Here, I'm going to tell the truth. I always tell the truth. I am still an attorney during the day. I have like an education. I have a salary. Yeah. I really can't with like
You're a big girl.
broke as fuck, you know, and I'm in my 30s.
Well, that's the thing with like, same. Not the exact same, because obviously didn't go to law school, not the attorney, but I have a very good job at night.
Yeah.
I work in a swanky steakhouse, and I worked in restaurants all through college and stuff. And then when I got out, I was like, I like this better than sitting in an office. This is you get to walk around. I'm talking, I'm meeting different people. I've met so many, like, especially at this place I work now, I've met so many like crazy, like famous people. I invited a couple of them to like bar shows and stuff. Don't ever do that. I have a whole bit about it. But it's also one of those things where I love doing it, and it's a lot of fun. And then people are like, oh, well, if you're really committed to comedy, you need to quit your night job. And I go, I can make my rent in like one weekend. I'm not quitting my night job. And they go, well, if you want to be fully committed, I go, I moved across the country for comedy. Like, I'm committed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I do.
Yeah.
And it's these people telling me this that are the people who go to like 3 or 4 open mics a day.
I know.
And I'm like, I have 3 podcasts, and I also am like doing shows. I've produced and put together and created an entire one-man show all by myself.
Yeah.
Like, why are you telling me I need to quit my job?
I so agree with you because, like, basically, I'm like, I don't have all this time to waste because I didn't start comedy like fresh out of college or anything or during college. That like I want to be smart and efficient. And they're like, you have to be on stage every day. And I'm like, I'm tired from being an attorney and in court all day. Like I can't do it. But like, so that's why I created the Hot Box, and like that's really taking off. It's like not everything is about going to 4 open mics, like you or being booked on as many shows as possible. Like, especially being injured, unfortunately, and I feel bad like every time I've had to like drop out of a show. But I live in Washington Heights, and I'm like, I'm not going from Washington Heights to Bushwick for 5 minutes.
Yeah. I feel the same way. Like
for an unpaid bar show.
When I request, sometimes people will be like, hey, do you want to do my show? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And I'll request off of work. But then if I can't book like 3 or 4 more shows in that same night, it's like I just lost out on like $500 to do a bar show for 5 minutes where no one's paying attention. I think about it all the time because, too, just from an analytical standpoint, the reach is so much greater from doing stuff like this and like the Hot Box and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Versus doing like 6, like you do 4 open mics and 3 shows in a day. Like how many you're gonna reach? Maybe 300 people, maybe half of which are paying attention.
Well, and half of the people you're reaching are comics that are not going to view you as like that. Like I think that comedians do not focus on their Instagram enough. Like I tell people,
I hated it for so long, but it's been such a game changer.
It's a game changer. I am stuck at home. I've been on disability since August, and then I had the surgery in October. So it's been like 4 months that I've been stuck at home. The thing that has kept me going and my sanity, because I would actually finally get bored of TV. Like getting high and watching TV is fucking amazing, but it can get boring
after
every day.
3 months. You're like, all right.
And I did refrain from a lot of cannabis for a while after surgery and stuff, but it's building my cannabis influencer partnerships and building the Hot Box.
Yeah, the brand, yeah.
Yeah, because I now have a paid partnership with Eureka Vapor. They like love me, and now they're helping me get out to Denver to do the Hot Box there.
Oh, that's awesome.
And we're doing an infused celebrity chef dinner. I've connected with celebrity chefs and like different people on Instagram. And I also now have an official partnership with Weed Feed. That's like a major media company in cannabis. They have like well over 500,000 followers. And we're going to do this like big high level March 4th show. Like that's like they want like a lot of time. And like that wouldn't have happened if I wasn't.
If you were just focused on doing mics all day.
The mics are not going to pay you.
Well, and the other thing too, I totally understand where people come from where it's like you have to work on the craft. You have to do that. And it's like, yeah, but you've been doing it, like some of these people, I'm like, you've been doing it for 6 months or a year. I've been doing this for over a decade.
Exactly.
Like, I've got the set. I'm all right.
You're fine. And like, it's just, I want, like, I appreciate all the stage time, but I had to prioritize a little bit different. Like,
well, I used to never do social media. I used to rail against social media because I was like, this confounded contraption. I get on stage and I make people laugh, and that's what I do. And I would rail against it. And then I did the TikToks with Hannah Berner and stuff.
Okay.
And I wear my merch in the TikToks.
Oh, yeah.
And I sold like 4 shirts. Like from the very first video she posted, this was months ago. It got millions of views. Like my website traffic spiked. Everything spiked because people saw the shirt and they go, what's X Drinking Buddy? And they looked at everything spiked. And I was like, God damn it. There's something to this social media thing. So then I started
should have
posting,
worn a Hot Box t-shirt. I wasn't thinking this morning.
Then I started.
The Hot Box.
And then I started like posting more clips.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, and like some of them don't get it like a few hundred views, but then some of them like jump.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck, man, there is something to this.
I mean, look at Andrew Schultz. Like his whole YouTube blew up even more so when COVID hit and he got his Netflix show.
Yeah, turn your phone, that whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah. You need to be smart and strategic, especially if you're not like 22.
Because we're older, so it's like we got to do this now.
Yeah, I don't have all this time to waste, and like I can't continue to like work 2 jobs. Yeah. It is very, very hard. So like my goal is to do cannabis and comedy and whatever full time.
Cannabis and comedy.
They go together hand in hand, cannabis and comedy. So like, yeah, but wait, what was I saying about the drinking? Oh, so like I did have a casual experience.
Yeah, before
my surgery with a guy. You know those people that like you always run into them, but like you're not really friends with them.
Yeah.
Like he's one of those guys and has like, slid into my DMs in the past.
Yeah, yes.
And
Did you tell him, hey, after my 30th birthday, I don't do this anymore? Did you tell him?
No, but I did tell him, ew, you're a crazy Trump supporter. But no, we ran into each other like the Sunday night at this rosé wine thing, and it's the alcohol. And then I had sex with him, and I never want to do it again. I'm sorry, I'm not interested. That doesn't make me feel bad because like I deserved it and I know him, but like it wasn't some like wonderful experience that makes me feel good. And I'm not like other women, I guess, where I'm. Like, I see it for what it was.
What it is.
And he grosses me out like it's never happening.
Bang, bang, shots fired.
I'll wait another 8 months. It's fine. Whatever. At least he did what he needed to do because I need stuff done to me. That's the way it goes.
Well, I appreciate you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Plug everything one more time.
Okay. Follow me on Instagram at Danit Sibs, DANITSIBS, and also at thehotbox.nyc. December 11th, we're doing a huge infused brunch.
December 11th. Thank you, everybody, so much for listening at Brennan T Comedy on all social media, BrennanTComedy.com. The one-man show, also titled Ex-Drinking Buddy, but not a podcast. It's going to be a one-man show. January 30th, the Producers Club, 6:30 and 8:30 shows. Tickets go on sale December 1st, so they're already sold out, hopefully, God willing.
Yeah.
Thank you again for coming on.
Thank you for having me. This was great.
Perfect.